What is up, everyone? It's your Geek with the technique here, and today we're reviewing Resident Evil 7. So, what does this psychotic family first-person driven game do for the 20-year growing Resident Evil series? Well, pack up your antique coins and your family photos because we're about to begin this journey on Resident Evil 7. Let's begin! The game features you, the main protagonist, Ethan Winters, traveling to Louisiana after having a request from his missing wife for 3 years, Mia Winters, to find her there, even though she was presumed dead. So you, as the knight in shining armor you are, arrive at the Baker's family home to save your psychologically abused wife, and not die through all the Baker's dirty, unclean, and moldy killing spree antics. So, is this game good? You bet your decapitated hand it's good! The game doesn't hit you with a lot of horror cliches, but tempts you to be scared by its ominous and sometimes things go bump in the night attitude towards the beginning middle of the game. And its look of torn, broken, and desolate housing sets up a very unique setting for you. And don't forget the tone. The tone of Resident Evil 7 as shown in my previous gameplays of it. I'm telling you guys, the tone that I'm feeling in this game is very ominous. I have to put this in the review because it's really deep, man. I'm telling you, like, the attitude and the tone in this game is quite frightening a little bit. I mean, as I'm walking through this demo, I'm watching and looking at things that, you know, set up the piece, set up the unique setting for it to be scary. And, you know, I have to put this in the review. I have to. This game is incredible for when it comes to an anonymous tone of just subtle, simple designs of scariness, which doesn't go over proportion. Resident Evil 7 also lets you be very interactive, especially with photos and a lot of other objects, so you never lose that thought of mystery or why things are happening the way they are. One of the major things I was scared of going into my first ever full Resident Evil game was saving, but the voice recorder save slots are placed conveniently throughout the game, and even when I died I was able to use all my resources again as they were saved. But that's not to say the game doesn't have its own flaws. I mean, the puzzles are way too easy, and feels like there's just a few in the game, if not very rare to see or take opportunity of. Another is its enemies called the Molded, who aren't that scary and are really the only other enemies you face in the game other than the Baker family. They're not really ominous as the setting of the game. One of the most irritating things is I wasn't really surprised by the Molded. They just popped up and came up out of nowhere and I usually just shot them. Maybe it's just to keep the player busy while something else is going on in the background, but to me it's kinda irritating and they're not that strong at all, like I said before. Matter of fact, I would even go in deeper to just say that they're bullet sponges, wasting my bullets and ammo. Which brings me to another point. The amount of scarcity in this game. The amount of scarcity in this game, which is very high, as you are in your inventory and you have to highly consider what to use and what not to use, as you are in a limited supply of valuable items. One of the most coolest things is the crafting system in this game, which is simple, sleek, and gets straight to the point. You can combine a lot of items together to make, you know, gunpowder or explosive bullets or a super type of chemical fluid that helps your body out and heals you really fast, which really does help with the idea of fight or flight, or should you stay with these items or just use them in a never combined way to help yourself out throughout the levels. Now, some people have been asking me about the graphics. Well, the graphics aren't Uncharted 4 or the Order 1886 if that's what you're asking, but they do serve well for such a hard game as Resident Evil 7. And great camera scenes, especially for intense jump scares and scary moments, which there are plenty of.
I told you to stay out of here!
Also, I will even go far to say that the main antagonists do kind of have their own attack pattern, which does bring a lot of variety. One, which is the grandfather of the old guy, I guess basically is a little bit more up close and personal fighting. And another main antagonist who has long arms is basically a more methodical and slow pace driven.
Don't you worry none!
My final issues with this game has to be the two endings. They're basically the same. Let me show you one ending, and then I'll show you the other.
Wait, Zoe?
Zoe? Zoe!
You okay? The hell was that? What? Wait, what are you doing? What are you doing? You need to go. I won't be able to resist so much longer. No. No, but careful, little bitch. No. Mia! No!
Basically, in these endings, you can either save Zoe and then let Mia die, which basically is the same thing. She comes back later on in the other half of the parts. And you can either save Mia and let Zoe die. Either way, they kind of end up with the same ending. Just one is a lot more combat, while the other one is just not that much combat. And one thing that I do think is very important, just in case you're looking at it from a perspective view if it's good or it's bad, is that the Baker family could have been solved at the end. See, towards the end, the Baker family says that they've been controlled, under my control, by this mysterious entity. And since they've been controlled by this mysterious entity, who you later on fight in the game, they say that they need help. And we would like your help, Ethan, and can you please save us?
Hey, shh, I know. I'm not gonna hurt you. Nor my boy Lucas. Or even Zoe here. That girl, Evelyn. She did this. She infected us with her gift. That's what she calls it.
So, after saving them, I guess you do. I don't know if you do, or if you have saved the Baker family. We will never know unless it's in Resident Evil 8 or something like that. But after the Baker family asks you to save them, you don't ever get to figure out did you save them or not, which is one of the most irritating things I found. Now, maybe it may be good to some, seeing that it could lead to a more dramatic story for a next series of Resident Evil 8, if that's what they're going for, to keep a good narrative story and let the Baker family be discontinued until then, to keep a longer drawn out story to Resident Evil 8. But to some it may be kind of irritating knowing that they didn't get to figure out what happened to the Baker family. So it's a pro and type of a con, depending on how you see it as a perspective. Overall, the game has great narrative, a great story, and also really great finesse when it comes to figuring out what to do with your limited supplies, and it brings back a really good horror genre that I've been hearing about for years now. I can't wait to go back and play Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, if that's the order they go in, seeing that I didn't play any of them before. But this is the kind of thing that Resident Evil 7 brings to the table. I really want to play the rest of the Resident Evil series. So, what do I give Resident Evil 7? Well, I give it a pair of Geek glasses plus a lens. That's an 8. In this case, it's an 8. It's an 8 out of 10. Alright, so what do you think about it? Do you think it's cool? Do you think it's not cool? Do you think it wasn't that scary? Do you think it was that limited in horror? Well, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys later on the next Geekish Gamer Show. Bye, guys.